Good evening, everybody. Uneducated Economist here. Um, Federal Reserve President Kaplan, Robert Kaplan from the Dallas Fed, had a very interesting interview, and it was in the first minute and a half. I think it was in at least the first 2 minutes of the interview that he gave a very, in my opinion, a very profound statement when it comes to the stimulus package. Because when the interviewer asked him, she says, if this stimulus package gets stalled out until after the election, we don't see something come February, is that going to put a severe pressure on the recovery of the economy, or is this going to cause us to go back down into a downturn? I forget exactly the way she stated it, but it was something like that. And he said that this is a very interesting slowdown or downturn that we had, recession, in that typical recessions are led by like a decline in household income and then a decline in consumerism. And between these two, you start getting a downward spiral. But that didn't really happen this time because of the stimulus package that already had come in. Okay, and because of the stimulus package having come in and pretty much supporting jobs, with like the payroll protection program and giving people like the stimulus checks so that they can, continue to pay their, buy food or pay the bills, the, moratorium on mortgages and rent, stuff like that. With this stimulus package, it didn't really allow for there to be a downturn in the consumer, right? The consumer can continue right on. And this is where it gets interesting because he basically said he will expect that to continue because most people are anticipating that there's going to be a stimulus package coming. Now, I forget exactly how he stated it, but it was something that if they have the idea that that isn't going to happen, then you would probably see a downturn continue back into the market. And that is it right there. It is all about perception. It is about confidence. It is about that credible threat. That is what this whole game is over. It doesn't matter if you get the stimulus check or not. You just have to believe that the stimulus check is coming and you will continue to spend into the economy. If you do not think that stimulus check is coming, then you are going to hold back on your purchases. You are going to hold back on everything that you are doing. You might even start to sell some of your assets, trying to get into cash because you are going to protect yourself from a downturn. But if you think that stimulus check is going to be there, then you will just go ahead and spend the money. And that is exactly what he is saying in that first minute and a half of that interview. I found it brilliant. And it's exactly what I've been saying that is going to be happening. And I think at some point when we do go into a downturn and we do need to stimulate this economy because they're already saying that it's going to have to happen at some point, if people start feeling the pressure and they don't think that stimulus is going to come, then it's definitely going to come, the downturn. So they will stimulate just to keep the down from happening. And in my opinion, with the amount of talk that there is going on about the central bank digital currencies, and I mean, they're talking all over the place about these central bank digital currencies, that I would only assume that they are probably going to try and implement a central bank digital currency, Fed coin, some kind of electric wallet. And there is a lot of ways that they are talking about doing this. So it's just a matter of time. It's not an if, but when it's going to happen. So found that interesting. What else did he talk about in that interview that I liked? Oh, there's actually two interviews. I'm going to leave a link down there for Evans too, because I think they both kind of talked about this one, and that the stimulus is not just to give the people the perception, it's also to like basically help out with the municipalities, because so many municipalities, this is like state and local governments that are in debt, your counties, your cities, your major cities anyway, in the states, they're suffering under a heavy debt load. And although the Federal Reserve can always provide the availability of being able to get more debt, access to credit, cheap credit, that doesn't necessarily help. And they know that. And they know that cheap credit also causes asset bubbles. And that isn't necessarily helping the real economy. And so they are pretty much they are saying that they are going to keep interest rates low, keep this accommodative low interest rates for loans going. They're going to keep that happening. But ultimately, it's up to the government to provide a fiscal stimulus, because these municipalities, they're not going to be able to do it. Okay, if they continue to go deeper in the debt, there's only a couple of things that'll end up happening, and really that's either higher taxes or less services. And so what they're saying is that the government has to provide, because they're the last ones that are going to be able to do it. And the Federal Reserve, they're not going to be able to drop interest rates, so they're not at hand. They're just going to be basically there at the low interest rates buying up the bonds. And it's definitely going to have to come up to the government. And so this is what the whole talk is going to be. This is the carrot that they're going to dangle in front of everybody from now on, is stimulus or not to stimulus, and how much stimulus do you talk about? All right, I think I'm good. Uneducated economist. I'll talk to you guys later. You guys let me know.